I am really excited today to show you a new plugin I've got for doing Atmos stuff. So grab your headphones. We're going to do binaural stuff today. If you're new to the channel, first time checking it out, down below, there's some links to affiliate stuff, and I've got Dolby Atmos templates. In fact, everything I do today is going to be done in one of those templates, in my music mixing templates. So check that out if you are interested. I appreciate it. Helps support me, helps support the channel. So the plugin we're looking at today is called Move It. It's from HAL Audio. I have to give a shout out to HAL Audio because they sent this over for me to take a look at. And I am so excited that they did, because this plugin it's kind of just what I've been looking for. So what is Move It? Well, on the surface, it's a panner. Now you're asking, why do you need a panner? Isn't there a panner in your DAW? And yeah, there is, but most DAWs, at least Pro Tools doesn't, and I don't think a lot of other DAWs have this either. When you have a track that has a channel width greater than stereo, there is no panner. There's no way to change where things are. And I'm just going to show you something really simple. This is something I've talked about doing in other videos, and this plugin, like, I had crazy routing matrices to do this, and this plugin just destroyed them all. I don't need them anymore. Now I have this, and I'm going to show this to you because it's sonic. And after I go through this, I'll walk through some of the other features in this, because there's a lot you can do with this. So one of the things I've talked about when it comes to reverbs, and really this is important to me when I'm dealing with something that I'm using as just like an ambience, the problem I have with a lot of reverb plugins, and especially the multi-channel plugins, is the source that you have panned. When you're panned into like a multi-channel bus, like in this case, we're going to look at a 5-1 bus. The reverb for the source originates in the same position. So if I have something panned to, say, the front left, all the reverb starts in the front left. Well, that's fine in some situations. When the reverb you've got originates from the same position and has a tendency to push things away and make things farther away. Great mixing technique for you to file away. The thing is, when we're dealing with ambience, we're trying to put something into a space. That's not really the way things work in nature. I mean, if you and I were having a conversation and you were, off to my right, let's say, in front of me, I'm going to hear your voice coming from there. The ambience of your voice, though, is going to be coming from everywhere else, not really from where you're talking from. I mean, yeah, there'll be something because of walls and things if we're in a room and all that. But the majority of what I hear as ambience is going to be around me. So I like setting up my reverbs to work more like that. And I'm going to use Move It from HAL Audio to do this like that. So I've got a guitar here. Let's bypass this to begin with. So I'm going to play a little bit of this guitar, and I'll turn the ambience on and off so you can just kind of hear what's going on. So that makes a difference. But like I said, I don't like the panning of this reverb. So I'm going to turn on Move It. And if I right click on one of these channels, it'll select them all. And now there's a nice little key combination. I can hold down Command and Option, and I'm going to invert this whole thing. Just like that. So my left and right are flipped, and then they're flipped front to back. So just swapped everything. So now I'm going to play it, and I will bypass it in and out. So here in the room, it just makes it feel a whole lot more three-dimensional. So now with it flipped, I'm going to take this ambience in and out so you can hear what this is really doing now. Just feels a whole lot better to me when I flip it. And that's just me. So now I'm going to do the same kind of thing on my top ambience. So I put Move It on there. I've swapped things just like I did down below with that ambience. I'm going to open this up, and now I'm going to open all the inputs back up, and I will flip that Move It on and off. It's subtle. This is not like a, oh my gosh kind of thing. This is a subtle sort of thing. But to me in here, when I have this flipped like that, the mix opens up. It feels a little wider, a little more open. I feel like there is more separation and more clarity in the different instruments. And that's just from flipping the panning with Move It. So let's take a little closer look at this. I'm just going to reset it. I have a 5.1 version here. We could take this all the way up to 9.16 if we really wanted to. I'm going to stick with 5.1 right now because we're going to keep it a little simple for the moment. And there are a lot of things we can do just on the panning side of this. There's a lot more to Move It than just the panner, but the panner, for me anyways, is where I'm going to spend most of my time. First and foremost, if you hover over one of these channels, we have all our information here. So we've got our XYZ positional information. Spread, I believe, is kind of like the size parameter. So it'll spread it out into more speakers. I think I've talked about how I'm not generally a big fan of that, but there are use cases for it for sure, especially if you're doing more audio post kind of stuff. But for music, I'm not a big fan of it personally. Then we've got an LFE send. So on each of these individual speakers, we could send to the LFE if we wanted. We can adjust the volume of it. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. But then there's also the panning side of things. So if we hit this little info button here, there are a bunch of different shortcuts in here. And these are different ways of moving things throughout the panner. So let's just look at a couple of these. So what do we got? Control and Command and Control Option Command. So that'll go between a circle and a square. So if I do Control and Command and click on it, I can just go all around the perimeter with it. Easy way to do some panning. So if you're looking to automate panning and you're going to do it manually, this is a way to kind of do some of these moves. Control, Option, and Command goes in a circle. You can kind of see how, as it's getting to those corners, it's cutting them a little bit. Now, the thing with this is we can do multiple channels at one time. So if I just want to rotate a couple of them, I can. If I want to rotate the whole thing, I can. If I do, let's see, what was it? Command and Option, we can bring everything in, take it out, mirror it. Lots of different things we can do with the panner in here. There's if I do, let's see, this one's cool. I think it's Shift, Control, Option, Command. I know it's a little bit of keyboard Olympics to do this, but this is cool. Now I can rotate it up through the top. With a 5.1, it's not going to be quite the same, but if I had this as, let's go to a 5.1 to, we'll say a 7.14. Now, if I do that, now I can rotate this ambience all the way up and through the height channels. So lots of stuff you can do with the panning side of this. This little box right here, this controls the pop-ups. If you don't want it to pop up information every time you hover over that, you can check that, make it an X, and then you can just click on things and do stuff. So if you've got multiple channels selected, you can move them all at the same time. Real powerful and easy way to kind of pan a lot of things all at once. Some other stuff in here, there's also a mixer in here. So if you want to turn down the channels of things, you can do that in here. Probably not something that I will personally use, but who knows, maybe I will. You can bypass channels entirely. Like if I want to take the center out, I can just flip it off completely. Then there is also a routing matrix if you just want to reroute things. So if we go back here, let's go back to the 5.1 version of this. So if I want to just, flip the left and the right, I can just do that right there. And then I don't have to do that in here with the panning. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. One of the use cases that the guys over at HAL Audio see for this, if you're doing like an art installation where you've got speakers in a lot of different places, you might want to use this to kind of visualize and help with doing the panning for that. Let's do something else though. So let's look at another use case. Where would you maybe want to use something like this? Well, let's put it on the mix bus. So the mix bus in this template is a 914. I am going to mute the LFE though, because I don't use that. So I've got that turned off because don't really need that. So here's a potential use case. Let's say we've got our mix going and in the verses, we want to kind of narrow things in. We want to bring the whole thing in so that we're going to create some contrast so that when we get to the chorus, we can just open up our mix into immersive. So I'm going to select everything and I'm just going to kind of drag these guys in a little bit. Maybe like that. I think I'll leave, whoops, where's that undo button? I'll leave these guys on the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this from a verse into the chorus. And when we get to the chorus, I'll just reset it to pop it open. So just kind of cool stuff you could do with this, and all that's automatable. So we could automate that to bring it in, take things open. I mean, there's just so many creative possibilities with having something like this. I am really excited to dig into this even more and play with it. So if you're working in Atmos or Surround or just doing any of this kind of stuff, I highly recommend you check this out. This is the Move It plugin from HAL Audio. Thanks again to HAL Audio for sending it over. I feel like they were reading my mind when they put this together because there's so much I'm going to be able to do with this. You got questions about Move It, things to do with it? Maybe you've got some cool ideas, things that you've discovered that you are looking forward to doing with this plugin. Please leave a comment below and let me know because I am looking for ideas for this. This is so powerful. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.